Before you even take your first sip of coffee, before the world starts demanding pieces of you, pause. This moment, right now, is yours. Not yesterday's regrets. Not tomorrow's worries. Just this moment. If you can master the way you start your morning, you can change the way you live your entire life. Healing isn't something that happens only in the quiet moments of pain. It happens in the choices you make when the sun rises. And today, we're going to talk about how to start your day not just awake, but alive. Every single morning offers you a clean slate, but most people don't treat it that way. They wake up already dragging the weight of yesterday behind them, wearing the same labels they've worn for years. Labels that say, "I'm not enough," "I always fail," or "This is just who I am." Without even realizing it, they start the day as a continuation of yesterday's story, never questioning whether that story still deserves to be told. The truth is, the way you define yourself each morning shapes everything you do. Before you even put your feet on the floor, you have a chance to choose. Will you be the version of yourself that's limited by old habits? Or will you step into the identity of someone who is growing, learning, and becoming? This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about recognizing that who you are is fluid, and you have the power to influence the direction of that flow. Imagine waking up and asking yourself a different kind of question. Who do I want to be today? Not what you want to do, not what you want to get done, but who you want to be. Do you want to be patient, confident, resilient, grounded? When you make this choice deliberately, you give your mind a clear blueprint. Your words, your posture, your reactions, they all begin to align with that chosen identity. Without this decision, you're just operating on autopilot, letting the default settings of your past decide how your present will feel. Healing begins here because it means you're not bound to yesterday's emotional state or mistakes. It means you don't have to carry the tension, the bitterness, or the doubt forward. You can let the old version of you rest and invite in a version that is lighter, stronger, and more intentional. And yes, some days you won't feel like you're that person yet, but choosing to step into that role daily slowly reprograms how you see yourself. Change rarely happens in a single leap. It happens in these small, deliberate acts of becoming. The way most people begin their day is a perfect reflection of how chaotic their inner world has become. The alarm goes off, and before they've even sat up, they've already reached for their phone. Notifications, messages, news, social media. They're letting the world in before they've even taken a single breath for themselves. This is dangerous because it means you start your day with everyone else's priorities, opinions, and emotions invading your mind. You're already reacting before you've chosen your state of being. But healing doesn't happen in a state of constant reaction. Healing needs space, stillness, and deliberate focus. That's why starting your day with inner stillness is one of the most powerful things you can do. This doesn't mean you need an hour-long meditation or a complicated ritual. It can be as simple as sitting on the edge of your bed, closing your eyes, and taking 10 deep breaths. It can be placing your hand on your heart and simply noticing that it's still beating, reminding you that you're alive and capable of choosing differently today. It can be looking out the window at the sky and realizing the world is bigger than whatever fear or worry is sitting in your chest. Stillness is not about doing nothing. It's about taking ownership of the tone of your day before the world colors it for you. In that stillness, you can check in with yourself. How am I feeling? What do I need today? What do I want to let go of? Without this moment, you're just jumping straight into the rushing current of life. And once you're swept in, it's hard to swim to calmer waters. But when you begin your morning with stillness, you create an anchor. No matter what happens later, you've given yourself at least one moment of clarity, one moment that was yours alone. And over time, these moments compound. They strengthen your ability to pause before reacting, to think before speaking, to respond to life in a way that aligns with who you truly want to be. The first words you hear each morning aren't always spoken out loud. They're the silent sentences running through your mind, shaping your entire emotional landscape before you've even left the bed. If you wake up telling yourself you're exhausted, unlucky, overwhelmed, or stuck, your brain takes those statements as commands. It doesn't question them. It starts scanning your environment for proof to match the story you've already decided to tell yourself. That's why it's so important to be intentional about the language you feed your mind in the first few moments of the day. Words are not just descriptions, they are blueprints. They tell your mind what to build. Instead of falling into the lazy autopilot phrases, "I can't do this. This is going to be a hard day. I wish I could just stay in bed." Begin replacing them with language that opens up possibility. Even if it feels unnatural at first, speak to yourself in ways that call out your strength. I am capable. I am growing. I am moving forward no matter what comes. These are not empty feel-good slogans. They are mental instructions. When you say, "I am capable," your mind begins searching for evidence of that capability. When you affirm, "I am worthy," your subconscious starts protecting your boundaries and prioritizing your well-being. This is how self-talk works. It's not just about positivity. It's about programming your thoughts to work in your favor rather than against you. The words you choose in the morning create momentum, and that momentum can either carry you into a day of strength or a day of struggle. Healing isn't just about letting go of the past. It's about giving yourself the language and mental environment where something better can grow. And it all starts with catching yourself in those first moments and choosing to speak life into your day instead of quietly poisoning it with thoughts that drain you before you even begin. Every morning also presents another fork in the road, a choice between dwelling on guilt or leaning into gratitude. Guilt has a way of attaching itself to the start of your day like an uninvited shadow. It reminds you of what you didn't do yesterday, the mistakes you made, the conversations you wish had gone differently. It whispers that you're behind, that you should have been better, faster, stronger. And if you let it, guilt will dictate the tone of your entire morning, robbing you of the energy you could be using to actually make today better. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts your focus completely. It doesn't deny that mistakes happened or that challenges exist. It simply refuses to let those be the only lens through which you view your life. Gratitude asks you to find something in this very moment that is good, something worth holding on to. It could be something huge, like a relationship that's endured through storms, or something small, like the way the sunlight is spilling into your room right now. It could be the simple fact that you have another day to try again. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain. It's about reclaiming your ability to see beyond it. It reminds you that even in the middle of difficulty, there are still things worth loving, worth fighting for, worth noticing. And here's the powerful thing. Your brain can't hold on to guilt and gratitude with equal strength at the same time. When you start actively naming the things you're thankful for, guilt loses its grip. The weight you woke up with begins to lift because you're no longer staring only at what went wrong. You're also looking at what's still right. This shift doesn't just change your mood. It changes the way you make decisions, interact with people, and see yourself. Starting your day with gratitude is like stepping into the sunlight after being in a dim room for too long. It doesn't erase what's behind you, but it illuminates a better path forward. And if you make this choice consistently day after day, gratitude becomes more than a morning practice. It becomes a way of living that naturally supports your healing. Most people start their day with vague intentions, thinking things like, "I'll try to eat better today," or "I'll do my best to stay calm." But the problem with vague intentions is that they have no anchor. They are easily swept away by the first inconvenience, the first stressor, the first moment life pushes back. That's why a promise is so much more powerful than an intention. A promise is a commitment you make to yourself. One that holds weight because it's not just about what you want to do, it's about what you've decided you will do. When you make a promise to another person, you instinctively want to honor it because you don't want to damage their trust. The same is true internally. When you make and keep promises to yourself, you strengthen your self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation for healing, growth, and confidence. This is why your morning should include at least one specific, unshakable promise to yourself. It doesn't have to be massive. Sometimes the most effective promises are small and non-negotiable. It could be drinking a full glass of water before you reach for your coffee. It could be walking for 10 minutes before diving into work. It could be speaking to yourself kindly, even when you make a mistake. The size of the promise isn't as important as the act of keeping it. Because each time you follow through, you're sending yourself a very clear message. I can rely on me. And when you believe that, the way you handle challenges changes. You stop second-guessing every decision. You stop hesitating to take action. You stop letting fear paralyze you because you've proven to yourself, day after day, that you will show up for you. Over time, these small, kept promises become the invisible threads that stitch together a stronger, more grounded version of you. They are the quiet victories that no one else sees, but that transform you from the inside out. Another essential part of starting your morning in a way that supports healing is learning to release what doesn't belong there. Too many people wake up and immediately invite negativity into their day without even realizing it. They check messages from arguments that still sting. They scroll through social media posts that trigger comparison or resentment. They replay hurtful words from the day before. They allow unfinished conflicts, unhealed wounds, and unnecessary noise to move right into the most valuable and vulnerable part of the day. But your mornings are sacred. They are the fertile ground where you plant the seeds for the hours ahead. If you fill them with weeds, you can't expect to grow anything worth keeping. Protecting your morning means having the discipline to set boundaries, not just with other people, but with your own thoughts. It means asking yourself, does this belong in my morning? Before letting it in. That text from last night's disagreement? It can wait until you've grounded yourself. That mental replay of a conversation that hurt you? It can be put on pause until you're in a stronger state to deal with it. Healing requires this kind of discipline because if you start your day with emotional clutter, you leave no room for clarity. Think of it like walking into a room first thing in the morning. If the room is clean, you feel calm and ready. If it's messy, your energy drops instantly. Your mind works the same way. When you start the day by releasing what doesn't belong, you give yourself a mental space that feels clear, peaceful, and strong enough to face whatever comes. This doesn't mean avoiding hard truths or running from problems. It means choosing the right time to face them. And the moment you wake up, when your mind is fresh and impressionable, is not the time to drown it in heaviness. By learning to filter what you allow into your mornings, you're sending a message to yourself and the world. My peace matters. My healing matters. And I decide what gets to enter my day. That level of intentionality not only protects your energy, but also accelerates the process of becoming the person you want to be. There's a reason the world feels heavier as the day goes on. It's because every interaction, every problem, every demand slowly chips away at your focus and your energy. That's why finding a source of inspiration in the morning is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The mind needs fuel, and if you don't intentionally choose what you feed it, the world will feed it whatever's loudest. Inspiration is more than a quick motivational quote or a fleeting moment of positivity. It's about grounding yourself in something that aligns you with your higher self before the chaos begins. This could mean reading a single page from a book that stirs something in you, listening to a piece of music that moves you into a place of strength, or watching a short video that speaks to your values. It's not about consuming something just to feel good for a second. It's about planting an emotional and mental seed that will quietly guide you throughout the day. When you fill your mind with something uplifting before the world has a chance to flood it with noise, you're setting a foundation that's much harder to shake. The power of this practice is in how it changes your responses. A challenge that might have rattled you yesterday doesn't feel as threatening because your mind is anchored in a different place. A negative comment or unexpected problem doesn't drag you down as far because you've already built a reservoir of positive energy. And the truth is, inspiration isn't always about hearing something new. Sometimes it's about being reminded of what you already know but have forgotten in the busyness of life. The morning is the perfect time for that reminder because it's when your mind is most open, most impressionable, and most ready to believe. By making it a habit to connect with a source of inspiration, you are, in a very real sense, choosing who gets to shape your day, you or everything else. The other crucial part of starting your day right is to take one bold step before the noise of life sets in. Most people tell themselves they'll get to the important things later, but later is a dangerous promise. Later gets eaten up by emails, errands, unexpected problems, and the steady pull of other people's priorities. The day slips away, and the things that matter most to you end up pushed to tomorrow, then next week, then someday. That's why doing something meaningful, just for you, before the world interrupts, is so powerful. This doesn't have to be a grand, life-changing act. It could be writing a single paragraph in that book you've always wanted to start. It could be making a phone call to someone you've been meaning to reconnect with. It could be taking 15 minutes to work on a skill you've been wanting to develop. What matters is not the size of the action, but the message it sends. That your healing, your growth, and your dreams are a priority, not an afterthought. This one step in the morning becomes a declaration to yourself that you are not living purely in reaction to life. You are actively creating it. And here's the thing. Once you've done something that matters to you before the day's demands begin, no matter what happens later, you've already won a part of the day. Even if the hours ahead bring stress or setbacks, you've already invested in yourself. That creates a subtle but powerful shift in how you carry yourself through the rest of the day. It builds momentum, confidence, and a quiet sense of pride that you're not just surviving, you're moving forward. Over time, this morning act becomes more than just a habit. It becomes proof that you're capable of showing up for yourself consistently. And when you can trust yourself to take at least one bold step every morning, no matter how small, you begin to see that you are far more in control of your life than you once believed. How you start your morning is how you start your life. One choice at a time, one breath at a time, one sunrise at a time. Healing isn't something you wait for. It's something you create, right here, right now. If this message spoke to you, I want to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments what your one morning promise will be starting tomorrow. Like this video if it lit a spark in you. Share it with someone who needs to hear this today. And subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together. One step, one sunrise, one breakthrough at a time. What topics do you want us to explore next? Your ideas matter here. Let's build this conversation together.